Let's begin, and welcome to Feast, Federation of Asian Storytellers, and our very first story swap and our very first attempts to reach out and bring storytellers not just in Asia but around the world together. And it's very exciting. And thank you everybody for logging on and being patient with us as we get used to this new medium of connecting and communicating with each other. For us, this is a very exciting time. It's been a couple of years in the making to get Feast off the ground and up and running. But we are very excited that tonight we have, hopefully, I was told 39, but I gather we may now be up to as many 50 will actually sign in, with 13 coming from India, plus another scattered from all over India, that is to say, 8 from Bangalore, where there's a very strong storytelling community. We're meant to have 8 from Singapore, so, you know, Singapore take a little time for them to get online, I guess. A couple from the Philippines, as well as representatives from maybe America, Argentina, Canada, and Scotland and Spain. So a lot of interest, which is fantastic. Because one of our aims behind Feast is really to try and raise awareness of storytellers here in Asia. And not only to raise that awareness amongst ourselves, the storytellers who are working in Asia, but also for storytellers throughout the world. We're also hoping to make people more aware of the work that storytellers are doing in Asia. Earlier I was talking with, I mentioned that I'd been in Chennai, and there Aryo, who is the director of the Jakarta Storytelling Festival, and he was sharing with us the work that his teams have been doing in Lombok, doing story therapy in the wake of that terrible tragedy of the earthquake. And we feel these kinds of stories, the way that tellers are using stories, these are some things, techniques or opportunities that we should be sharing and making the rest of us more aware of, so that we may, if we wanted to follow that, use that in our own practice. We're also very keen to share our skills, and this is the way that we think that Feast could be of benefit to our members, and not just the professional members. I take it that most of us who are online tonight would fall into that category. But I was running a workshop today in Brunei, that's where I'm speaking to you from, my hotel room here, with what we would call community tellers. These are teachers, librarians, mainly working with younger children, who we think, again, would stand a lot to benefit from the kind of opportunities to see how they could incorporate different techniques in order to enhance the quality of their telling. It's also important that we want to use Feast to foster more collaborations and exchanges. We are in the midst here in Singapore with the 398.2 Festival, discussing with Bangalore the second of our storyteller exchanges. And we hope that that will become a model that perhaps other groups, other festivals will use here, using Feast as a way to help facilitate that. So we have a lot of opportunities, but tonight we want to celebrate storytelling. So Lynn, if you are standing by.
I'm sitting by, yes.
Or sitting by, of course, there we go. So Lynn, so again, if you could just say a few words about yourself and the storytelling that you do in Hong Kong.
Okay, right, well, my name is Lynn Kirk.
Can't hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I've been a storyteller in education and as a professional storyteller for more years than I want to admit. And it's been part of my blood all my life. I have, under the guise, I call myself Ancestral Voices, so it can cover a broad array of different things for storytelling, as in the telling workshops, working with puppets and other things as well. I co-founded Hong Kong Storytellers quite a number of years ago now, and I'm the only remaining person left in Hong Kong with that. So at the moment, my work is very ad hoc and always looking for more work wherever I can.
I think that's probably storytellers everywhere, isn't it, Lynn?
I think it is, yes, it is. I know I'm just repeating what everybody knows, yes. But
Well,
anyways, I'll get on with my story.
Lovely.
The story is, it's River Turtle. Now, as we know, all good stories begin with once upon a time. So, once upon a time, when was it? When was it not? River Turtle was swimming with his mother down the river, and it was a lovely, beautiful day. The sun was shining, there was a gentle breeze. They could eat all the little insects that were on top of the river. And then River Turtle got into thinking, I'd like to go on an adventure. So he asked his mother if he could, and his mother said, yes, but you've got to remember two things. The first, always make sure you can hear the river. The second, keep out of the sun. Always be in the shade. That way you will be safe. All right. So off River Turtle goes. And River Turtle's plodding along as best as it can with its flippers, and saw all the beautiful things, the beautiful flowers, the trees, the bushes, the smells of the fruits. And then he got to thinking, I'm starting to walk just a little bit slower. I wonder why that is. And then he looked at his flippers and could see that they were very, very dry. And then he felt that his shell was very, very hot. And then he realized, apart from being hot, he could not hear the river. River Turtle was lost. He looked around and could not find anything recognizable. And he also knew that if he wasn't going to find somewhere cool and damp soon, he might not ever find the river again. So River Turtle began looking around and then suddenly noticed, not too far away, there was some big stones. So River Turtle went into where the big stones were, and there it was cool, and there it was damp, and there he could have a little rest. And then while he was resting, he began to cry. Oh, I'm lost. I will not find my way home. Oh, please, can somebody help me? I don't know where I am. Close by, Coyote was there and heard River Turtle's crying. Oh, what a beautiful song that is. Oh, I must find out who was singing that song. I must find out and learn it from them. Coyote began sniffing till he came to where River Turtle was. Oh, is that you making that beautiful song? Is that you singing? I'm not singing, I'm crying, because I can't find my way home, I'm lost. Oh, Coyote said, that is the most beautiful song I've heard. Please teach it to me. I can't teach you it. It's not a song. I'm crying because I can't find my way home. Oh, it is a song. It is a song. Please teach me now. Come on, teach me. Oh. And no matter how many times Coyote asked, River Turtle wouldn't. So Coyote was starting to get very cross. If you do not teach me, I am going to get you out of there. I'm going to drag you up to the highest rock, and then I'm going to drop you down so you will smash. Oh, you can do that. I can't teach a song. I'm lost and crying. And it didn't matter whatever punishment Coyote would say. River Turtle just said he cannot teach a song. Finally, Coyote said, if you don't teach me that song, I'm going to grab hold of you and I'm going to throw you in the river. Oh, no, anything but that. No, nothing. Please, no, not the river. Not the river, no, not the river. Finally, Coyote found something that the turtle was afraid of. So scooping out the ground, he managed to grab hold of the river turtle and got it in its mouth, and then began prowling and walking towards where the river was. And when Coyote found a place with his net, he tossed River Turtle into the river. River Turtle dived down and came back up again. And when he popped his head out, River Turtle said, oh, thank you, Coyote. You brought me home. Thank you so much. I was born and bred in the river. Thank you. And went away swimming. Coyote was left thinking that he had been duped. He had been tricked. And I'll tell you something, when he realized that, well, tell you what, the next part of his story needs to be told in a different place, in a different time. So, snip, snap, snout, my story's out.
Great. That's great. I love that. What a lovely ending. Snip, snap, snout, my story's out. Thank you very much for that, Lynn. Yeah. For a moment there, I thought it was a completely different story. And then I realized that it was going in the direction with the tricking Coyote. Very nice indeed. Thank you for sharing that. Well, we do not have our South Korean storyteller online at the moment. I'm delighted that things in South Korea really seem to be moving very well. Alicia is launching her storytelling festival in Seoul in September. And I was speaking with Sung Ah Kim yesterday, and she was saying that her storytelling village is really taking off, and she's hoping to offer several residencies next year for international tellers. So that's something really exciting to look forward to. And we believe that 8 storytellers are coming to the conference in November in Singapore, and we're really looking forward to meeting them there. So it's good that things are really happening now, I think, in South Korea. So because of that, we're going to jump in the list, and Usha, I was going to say you're next in the batting order, because I know England and India are locked in the great struggle at the moment, aren't they, in the 5th and final test match. So why don't we take it over to you and tell us something about yourself before going into your story.
Hi, I'm Usha Chabra from New Delhi, India. I'm a teacher.
So, Kulin, you were telling us earlier about your this interesting group, mainly mothers, that you have in Baguio in the Philippines.
Yes, that's right. We tell stories to little children, to pediatric hospitals, children who are victims of abuse, and a lot of communities with challenging situations. We tell stories. Our advocacy is healing through storytelling.
Wonderful. Okay, so just bearing in mind what we were saying earlier about keeping your lovely puppets up, and do just speak up, because again we're getting just a little issue with the audio here.
Okay.
So we can be clear. Thank you.
we usually, okay. Oh, am I going to start? Nah. We usually tell our stories using marionette puppets, but because I am alone, I will I will use a small puppet. But we usually use this cake, the marionette. So I am looking forward to Sir teaching us puppetry, more puppetry in this guy, because we use this for children, because in our shows there are usually 40 to 50 children, so we use big puppets. Okay. And may I use this?
Yes, indeed.
Can you hear it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I will right now. Once, one odd afternoon, worried was how Mother Hen felt. Where could they be, my little ones? Mother Hen looked to her left. Mother Hen looked to her right. But her little ones were nowhere to be found. Alas, a little bird flew by. May I ask, little bird, have you seen my little ones? Shaking its head, the little bird flew up and away. Alas, a carabao walked by. May I ask, dear Buff, have you seen my little ones? Shaking its head, the carabao strutted away and about. Alas, a green goat walked by. May I ask, green goat, have you seen my little ones? Shaking its head, the green goat jumped up and away. Light as tick, Mother Hen stood quick. Their nest she was about to leave, when suddenly she remembered her little ones she was sitting on all the while. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. How nice to actually just bring in the puppets and the music into the story. I think that was a very brave choice for a first attempt here on the webcam. And something I wanted to mention, a couple of people, including Kulin and Usha, had asked about telling the story in their mother tongue. And I think this is something that we really want to encourage through Feast. If you go on the website, you'll see that we have a space marked as the story store. And we are hoping that over time, members will contribute videos of them telling in action. And we hope that that won't just be in English, but that we'll also have stories in mother tongue. And this is something that I'm will certainly work on, I hope, in the rest of the year to see if we can't get at least a story or two in Mandarin and in Hindi or in Japanese also, and certainly in Bahasa, whether that's Bahasa Melayu or Bahasa Indonesia, we'll have to see. But this is something I think will be very good. And I'm grateful that tonight that people have said, okay, we will tell in English so that everyone can enjoy most. Okay. Whoops. So our next story, we are moving. Let me just see. Do we have Pratigya online here?
Hi, Roger.
That's very good. Okay. So why don't you tell everyone about yourself, and then you can go into your story.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Pratigya Haran from India. I've been telling stories for about 6 years now. It's mainly for children, and I also do some for the adults. the best part of storytelling for me is when I can see it in my audience that they are traveling along with me into my storyland. And I think that is the one which really kicks me to keep telling stories more and more. Am I audible?
Very audible,
Oh,
yes. Thank you.
okay.
That's good.
I'll move on to my story.
Mhm.
This was my first story that I'd written on my own, and it was a learning for me that I can write stories too. So this is about Mumu. Mumu was a little fish who lived deep in a coral reef with his large family. He had these beautiful scales of orange and black, and the coral reef where he lived was very colorful. There were colors of blue and green and yellow, purple, teal, beige, oh, you name it, they had it. Mumu would play with his cousins, hide and seek. They loved, getting hidden in those small little tunnels and those coral reefs and looking for each other. But Mumu was a little scared. He would say, what if I'm all alone in my tunnel and a large shark attacks me? His cousins would laugh at him. Don't be silly. How can a large whale enter a small little tunnel? At times, they would make fun of him. They would scare him. They would say, "Ooh," or creep behind him and say, "Bah." That would startle Mulu. And Mumu never liked that. Mumu actually had a big dream. He dreamt that one day he would be Momo the superfish. And while the whole water world was being attacked by some unknown enemy, he, Momo the superfish, would save them with his magical powers. One day, Momo woke up as usual and set out to play hide and seek with his cousins. But what did he see? Nobody was around. As I said, Momo never liked being alone, so he quickly swam back to his tunnel and he sat there quietly, feeling scared and lonely. Whoosh! He saw a big fin swim by. Oh no! That must be the large fish which has eaten away all my family. I'm left all alone and I don't like this. He was crying and shaking and crying and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking. And that's when he realized it was his mother shaking him and waking him up. Moo, wake up. It's your birthday today. Moo looked around and he sighed, hush. Thank God, it was only a dream. He quickly dressed up. He dressed up as Moo the superfish. He had a cape around his neck and he added some matching fins too. He snugly put a sword around his waistband and called out, Momo the superfish is ready for his birthday party. He went outside his tunnel to look for his cousins. Oh, nobody's around. They must have started playing again without me. I'll have to just go look for them. He looked for them in the blue tunnel. Yeah, maybe in the green rock. Maybe under the rocks. No, nobody was around. I wonder where they are. That's when he saw one cousin of his, coiled with a tentacle around, floating by. And then he saw another cousin of his. He too was floating with a tentacle coiled around him. And then another, until he counted 8 of his cousins, all coiled with tentacles around them. And all of these tentacles were stuck to one head. Oh no! It's an octopus! He ran, or rather swam, as quickly as he could. Suddenly, he stopped himself. This octopus is going to eat away all my cousins. But I'm Momo. that's when he got an idea. Stealthily and quietly, he swam behind the octopus. With a quick swish, he took out his cape and tied it around the octopus's eyes. The octopus could not see anything, but he was still holding on to all of his cousins. Oh no, this is not working. I will have to do something else. What do I do? What do I do? Aha, I have a sword. And he started punching and punching and punching the octopus as strongly as he could. But it was only a toy sword, so obviously it did not hurt the octopus. But the octopus was getting tickled, and he giggled, and he laughed, and he moved, and slowly it opened out all of its tentacles. All his cousins were free now, and they quickly swam back to the safety of the tunnel. From that day onwards, he was not Moo the baby fish anymore. He was Moo the superfish. Thank you.
Wow, you are getting claps all around here. Very nice, Pretty. Can anybody tell that Pretty used to be an actress? Yeah, what a performance. Lovely, lovely, really enjoyable. And you say you wrote that story?
Yes, I did.
Wow. And has it been published?
I don't know as yet. I've given it out as part of a government project where the Tamil Nadu state government was looking to print and write new stories for their children as part of their curriculum. But I'm still waiting to hear from them if this story has been chosen yet.
Well, we keep our fingers crossed for you. Otherwise, go and knock on Tulika Press, I would think.
Okay. Thank you.
Tulika Press is a wonderful publishing house in India, and they very generously hosted the launch party for Feast back on the 24th of last month. So now I think it's time for us to go across to Usha. Are you there?
Hi, everybody. This is Usha from Mumbai, India. And I'm really happy to be here. Roger, thanks. And Sheila, thanks for the wonderful feast that you have put together. I would love to be a part of it. About myself, I have been telling stories for the last 23 years. I'm a trained teacher by profession. I started telling actually STEM stories. I'm a classical singer as well. So I taught children what is Indian classical music and compared it to mathematics. And I'm also a self-taught puppeteer. And I love telling stories. I tell everywhere, and I've traveled around the world, attending master classes, telling stories at some places and enjoying meeting people, storytellers. And I'm going to be visiting Feast in November.
Yay!
That's a pleasure that I look forward to. So,
well, we're looking forward to seeing you here too.
Yes. Okay.
Great, thank you. So why don't you go into your story?
Yes. Once upon a time. Once upon a time in a faraway land, I think it was China, there lived a wise old man. Now let me tell you something about this wise old man. He was a monk and who sat on the branch of a tree and meditated all night, all day. He meditated every day. Since he sat on the branch of a tree to meditate, the birds, they came and perched on his shoulder and probably they built nests around his head. And everyone began to call him Bird's Nest. Now, initially, people made fun of him. They called him Bird's Nest. Hey, look at Bird's Nest. He's up the tree. But soon, they realized that Bird's Nest was a very, very wise old man. His wisdom spread far and wide all over China to distant lands. And people came from every corner of the land to seek his counsel, to seek his advice. Now, Bird's Nest's wisdom spread to the governor of the land. and he too wanted to seek bird's nest wisdom. So the governor was a very powerful, wealthy man. He had a retinue of servants who waited on him hand and foot. And he had everything that a governor could ask for. But he was yet unhappy. So one day, with his retinue of servants and soldiers who protected him, the governor set out to seek bird's nest counsel. They traveled all day in the morning and reached bird's nest tree around midday. So the governor alighted from his horse carriage and squinted up, looked up into the tree and tried to see bird's nest and called out, "Bird's nest, I'm the governor of the land. I'm very powerful. I have lots of servants attending to me. Yet, I'm very unpopular. How do I win popularity? How do I become everyone's favorite? I've traveled all this distance to seek your advice. Can you please advise me?" There was silence up in the tree for some time. And after about a couple of minutes, bird's nest spoke. He said, "Governor, the only piece of advice that I can give you is be good. Don't do bad things. Just be a good person." When the governor heard this, he laughed and he said, "Ha! Don't tell me I traveled all this distance to listen to that piece of street advice. Any 4-year-old could tell me that." There was silence up in the tree, and after a few minutes, bird's nest spoke. "Yes, Governor, any 4-year-old knows it, but an 80-year-old finds it difficult to practice. This is the best piece of advice that I could give you." Snip, snap, snout, and my tale is told out. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's great. I love that. Yeah, easy for a 4-year-old to advise, but difficult. I don't think just 80-year-olds to practice. There's a certain 73-year-old in the White House, Tim, who might well listen to that, listen to that advice.
No, our friend, what's his name? Oh my God. Oh, what's the president of United States?
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Mr. Trump, yes.
Mr. Trump, yes. I wish he could visit bird's nest.
Yeah, I think so. And bird's nest, it must be Chinese. Yeah, I'm surprised that the Chinese haven't kind of sent him that story. But maybe he's put a tariff on stories as well from China. Who knows? Yes. So thanks very much. I loved listening to that one. Very nice. So Tim, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and California?
Sure. I was introduced to storytelling 30 years ago at university at Northwestern by Professor Reeves Collins. And since that time, I've been telling stories, volunteering with the Bay Area Storytelling Festival near San Francisco. And right now, I'm on the committee to plan the 2019 American National Storytelling Conference.
Wow.
That will be in Fremont, California, in Silicon Valley next July. So you're all welcome to come by.
Good for you. I love the publicity. Good stuff.
So my story is from the Brothers Grimm. Once there were two brothers, one rich and one poor. Now they started out life on equal footing, and they even joined the army together. But when they had finished their service, one went home to the family farm and tried to work the land, but some years it was even hard to put food on his own table. And so he became very poor. But the other brother, after serving the army, went off to see the world. And when he came back, he stayed in the city. And there he started a business, importing things from the East. And he became very wealthy. One day, the poor farmer was harvesting his crop, pulling up turnips. He pulled out one and then another, but he could not pull the next turnip out of the ground. It was stuck. He called his wife over, and together they dug around the turnip and tried to pull it up, but they could not move it. They went and got the neighbors. It took 6 people, 6 of these farmers, to pull the turnip out of the ground because it was so enormous. It was the largest turnip any of them had ever seen. It was larger than a man. Well, the poor farmer smiled at his good fortune. They lifted the turnip onto a wagon and brought it into town. But try as he might, he could not sell that turnip. Everyone marveled at its size, but no one could eat or think of how to cook a turnip that large. And so at the end of the day, the farmer was left with his enormous turnip. But he had an idea. He took the turnip on the wagon and went to the king's palace, and he got an audience with the king. "Your Majesty, I served you for many years in your army. You always treated me well. You are such a just and kind ruler. I wish to honor you with a gift. Please take the fruits of my labor and the fruits of my land. I wish to present you this enormous vegetable." Well, the king was very impressed. "You must be some kind of farming genius. Thank you for the gift, and you shall be rewarded. Get this man a new suit of clothes, give him a sack of gold, and give him prized bottomland near the river where he may farm to his heart's content." And so the poor farmer quickly found himself a rich man. But when news of this got to his brother, the merchant, the brother was incensed. He couldn't believe it. How is it that my stupid and foolish brother, a peasant, was honored such by the king? I will show the king my gratitude. And so the merchant put together a gift basket with spices and silks from the Far East. And he brought the basket to the king. He said, "Your Majesty, I served you many years in the military, and you always treated me well. You are such a just and kind ruler. I have brought you a basket of the fruits of my labor and the fruits of my hard work. Take this, please." Well, the king admired the silks and the spices. "These are the finest treasures I have ever seen. Their value is incomparable. You shall be rewarded." "But," said the king, "I have nothing in my treasury. I cannot give you jewels or money for this. I have nothing so extraordinary." "Oh, wait a minute. I want you to have this enormous turnip. This is the reward." And that's the story of the turnip and the 2 brothers.
Well, well, well. I think that would be a good story if ever I wanted to run a bet. And I said, I'm going to tell you the story of the enormous turnip. I could make a fortune because everyone says, "Oh, we know that story. We know that story." And then you come up with that one. I was just thinking, it's such a good structure, isn't it? You know, of the 2 brothers, the good and the bad. I was thinking of there's the Korean story, a very similar setup. Anyway, the 2 brothers and the older one cheating the younger one and treating him so badly. Or again, when I was in Chennai, and we had the story of the 2 sisters from Indonesia, with the younger sister again, who's so good and gets rewarded for what she does, and things work out well for her. And when the older sister tries to do the same but cheats, then she gets punished as a result. Thanks, Tim. That's a very good story. I hope we could start now a dialogue, perhaps, in your planning, whether we could find space for a feast to be there and have some tellers. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
That would be fun, yes.
Excellent, excellent. Just before, because we're doing very well, Sheila, on the time, I just wondered, because there's a couple of people, we haven't got the great numbers that we were anticipating, and there have been a couple of people who sat very quietly, and I'm looking over at Trupti, I see, and Jill here, and Minu. So before we go to Lavanya, is that okay? Can I ask, Sheila, would you like to unmute them, and perhaps we could just get them to say a few words about themselves? And
Yeah,
they're joining. So Trupti, you've been unmuted first. How about introducing yourself? Welcome.
Thank you, Roger. Hello, everyone. I'm Shruti. I'm based out of Bangalore, and I love listening to stories. I love telling stories as well. And professionally, I've been telling stories for about 4 years now, and I'm loving every moment of what I'm doing. Thank you.
Wonderful. Excellent, excellent. Okay, and have you performed in the? Is it the BEST Festival, the Bengaluru Storytelling Festival?
Yes, I have told stories for them during their work with children. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Excellent. Thank you. And now if I can come over to Jill. Hi, where are you situated?
Australia. Well, sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Minu.
Hi. Hi, Roger. Hi, everyone.
Very good. And where are we speaking to you?
Yeah, I am actually... Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. Very clear.
Yeah, so I'm basically from Bangalore. I'm pretty new to storytelling, as a teller.
Mm-hmm.
But since childhood, I've been associated with stories right from, my grandmother is my first storyteller. Mm-hmm. So I've grown up listening to her stories. Then my father, my uncle, my brother, very good storytellers.
Wow.
And then thanks to Bangalore Storytelling Society, to wonderful people like Lavanya, Saumya, and Jiva Raghunath. So they have been my mentors in many ways. So I started out as a storyteller by passion. Now I'm very much into storytelling full time as a professional. And I do storytelling sessions for children. And then I join the Bangalore Storytelling Society during the meetups and try to share my stories as well. Wonderful. I write stories, short stories. I've written few stories. And yeah, so that's my journey so far into storytelling, and I'm glad to be here. And I hope to learn a lot through Feast and meet you all, and do more.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I think that's really great to have someone like you join in the Feast table. I think it's something that those of us, when we sat around, it was January last year. We were in Thailand, and most of us had been experienced telling in international festivals, and we were saying that we really wanted to share our experience. And it's really heartening to hear your story and the way that you've been so generously crediting the people who you've worked with and who you are learning from. And I think that's very much the spirit that we would like to foster within Feast, that we see the storytelling audience is not a fixed and finite group of people. The more of us who are out there and telling stories well will only serve to grow the number of people who want to listen to stories and will come and join our audiences. And so having people who want to learn and who are keen to celebrate the art of storytelling is, I guess, the reason why Feast is here. And as you mentioned, Lavanya, I hope now that you are, a home crisis has been resolved.
Yes, it has been. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. I'm back and all set and ready to share my story.
Wonderful. Okay, well, before you do that, why don't you're also part of this very exciting group of people that you have in Bangalore.
I am the core member of Bangalore Storytelling Society and the current secretary of Bangalore Storytelling Society. I have with me a group of 8 lovely storytellers, Bangalore Storytelling Society. The core group is about 9 of us, and all are story mad people. And we have so many people like Minu, Trupti, everybody coming and joining us. Almost all the meetups and the tellings. So in Bangalore, yes, the storytelling is something that is thriving, and we're very glad that we're able to take it forward in that way.
Yeah, and I think what I'm particularly impressed with, and I'm hoping that when we talk about the marketing in the webinar in October, that Aparna will talk, because you've had great support, haven't you, from the metro, from the the
That's
subway
right.
system?
That's right. We have the metro supporting us. They give us the space when we are doing the Bengaluru Storytelling Festival. They've been a great support. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, because the metro is so central in people's lives, for you to be connected with that, I'm sure just the foot traffic that must come past your door when you are telling those stories is enormous.
Yes, true, because people are able to make it to any venue by using that, and it was very nice that we could get that space to actually share stories.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. So, okay, before I turn completely green, why don't you share your story with us?
Yeah, so my name is Lavanya Prasad, and I'm like what many other people have. My first storyteller, the first storyteller that I have heard is my grandfather. I grew up listening to stories. I think so it was there in my blood all the time. And teaching was my passion. And that is exactly where I found getting back to storytelling. Otherwise, I would have become an electrical and electronics engineer. Thanks to that teaching profession of mine, I'm completely into storytelling now, and I run an organization called Talescope, which has turned and stepped into its 5th year this year. And it's been great associated with storytellers like you all. And the journey is wonderful. Yeah. I can't hear you, Roger. You're muted.
That's right. I just realized I'm muted. I'm getting a
Yeah.
sign here. We'll get used to this software. Thank you for sharing that. And we must do a survey and find out how many of the storytellers have come in from teaching. Just looking or listening to them tonight, you seem to be quite a high percentage. I was a drama teacher originally in another life. So great. Over to you, and let's hear this story.
Yeah. Ha! Shamantakamani, it seems. That is what people call him. He is very precious to the king. How can that be? Said one minister. But the others, they just came over and said, no, this can't be. He cannot be the king's favorite. He just can't be the king's favorite. But there was somebody else who said, what to do? His wit and wisdom cannot match anybody else's. They were the ministers of the Krishna Deva Raya court. And they were all very cross with one person, Tenali Rama. Tenali Rama was the court jester, and he was the king's favorite. Shamantaka Mani, precious gem to the king. Huh? They were green with jealousy. Nobody wanted Tenali Rama to be there in the kingdom, and they were waiting for a chance to pull him down. And the chance did come through the barber, the king's barber, who was very bored of leading a barber's life. You know, he just was walking one day talking to himself, cleaning, shaving, and cutting hair. What a boring life I have. You know, for the intelligence that I'm born with, I should have been one of the ministers in Krishnadeva Raya's court. Why not? The barber was startled to hear somebody talk from behind, and he turned back to see it was a king's minister standing there, and he immediately went, Namaste, Mantri ji. I'm very sorry. I was just blabbering something. Please forgive me. I really didn't mean to say anything like that. But the minister said, no, what you said are golden words. We have been observing you closely, barber, and you know what? You have all the qualities in you to become the king's minister. Really? Do you think so? Of course, yes. But there is just one hurdle. The barber, who was glowing with pride, was asking the minister, and what is that? That is Tenali Rama. Tenali Rama? Oh, the great jester of the king, the king's favorite. No, he can't be the king's favorite. If you become the king's favorite, if you become the king's minister, then Tenali Rama will be nothing at all. That is what the minister said. And you know what? What do I do? What do I do? Please help me. What do I do? All you'll have to do is make Tenali Rama go out of the kingdom. But he's the greatest jester I have ever known. But how do I do that? Let me tell you a secret. It was done. The next day morning, the barber went to the king's court. The king was there, lying down, waiting for the barber to do his job. The barber went to the king and he said, "My dear lord, you know what? I had a dream yesterday, and that dream was all about your ancestors." The king sat up. "How strange. I was just talking about my ancestors to the minister yesterday. I was asking him, how will I know if my ancestors are happy? And what did they tell you? They told me that they're feeling very bored in heaven. You know what? Your father, he's feeling very sad that there is no intellectual discussion happening in heaven. And your grandfather, he's very sad that there is nobody to entertain him in heaven." And what did you tell? I told them, "Our king Krishna Deva Raya is the greatest. He immediately attends to any things that we have to ask him. And I'm sure he's going to come to you with an answer." Oh, now what do I do? How am I going to keep my ancestors happy? Don't you worry. I have an idea. You should be sending the Shamantaka Mani, Tenali Rama, to heaven so that he can entertain your father and your grandfather. Please do that, my lord. Aha, barber, you are the greatest I have known. Take 100 gold coins. And he gave it to the barber. He immediately called out to Tenali Rama. "Summon Tenali Rama," he said. "Put him to death." And Tenali Rama was like, "What?" The king explained to Tenali Rama the barber's dream. And he went into a thoughtful mode. "All right. If that is the case, my lord, I'm at your service. I'm ready to die. I know you will take care of my family. I just have one thing to ask of you. Let me choose how I die." "All right. You have the right to choose. Tomorrow morning, you will be put to death." That night, Tenali Rama went to his backyard, and there was a big ground there. He dug up a hole and a tunnel from there to his garden. The next day morning, he came back and he said, "I would like to be buried alive in my garden. Please." "Are you sure? That's going to be the most cruelest death that you would ever come across." "I'm sure, my lord. Anything for you, at your service." And that's exactly what they did. They buried him. And before he was buried, Tenali Rama said, "I would like the guards to be standing here for a week, just so to see that everything is okay." All right. 6 months passed. The king was sitting in the court talking to his astrologer. "I'm so anxious. How do I know that my ancestors are happy? Please tell me something." And it was at the same time, there was somebody walking into the court. A man with really long beard and head full of hair, looking shabby. And he said, "Namaste, Maharaj, Krishna Deva Raya ki jai." Who is that? Who let this man inside? Who is this shabby looking man? "Don't you recognize me, my lord? I'm Tenali Rama, your jester." But were you not put to death? We thought you died. And what is all this, Tenali Rama? What is all this? We've never seen you with hair on your head. There used to be just this small, ponytail that you have on your head. And what is all this? Yes, my lord. I came here with full blessings from your ancestors, and they gave me special powers to come here because I carry a message from them. And what is that message? You looked at me, just 6 months away. Look at the beard I have grown and the hair on my head. Imagine your ancestors, my lord. They are shabby looking. They have so much hair on their head, so much hair, so much beard, and they just want somebody to come and help them. And who do you think could be better than the king's barber, my lord? Please put the king's barber to death tomorrow itself. We're all waiting." "Summon the barber," the king said. The barber came in running. He looked at Tenali Rama. He fell at the feet and said, "Oh, my dear Tenali Rama, nobody can match your wit and wisdom. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. It is not me. It is not me. It is all those ministers who gave me this idea. Please forgive me." And what do you think happened? The king, even though he was fooled, was not angry this time, because like any other day, the wit and wisdom of Tenali Rama made him laugh. And Tenali Rama was always the Shamantakamani at Krishna Devaraya's court. Thank you.
Wonderful. I feel that story should end with a snip, snap, shouldn't it? One. Very good. Thank you so much. I've heard of that story before, but that's the first time I think that I've actually heard the full story. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. Very good.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So I think we're going to give the other Usha another chance and hope that your connection is a little stronger. I think just before we do that, let me just take a chance to remind you that if you have any questions for us, please, you can either just put it on the chat, because I'm sure the kind of questions that you might have about Feast would be the kind of thing that will go in an FAQ, for example, and we can share it with everybody. Sheila and I are particularly keen to hear what it is that you would like to gain from Feast. I think a couple of people have spoken to that already in terms of growing their skills and confidence and so on. And any suggestions that you have for future webinars or story swaps, I was thinking whether we should have like a theme, for example, whether that would be too constraining or would be a fun challenge to do. I've mentioned that several people had asked about telling in mother tongue, and if that's something that you'd like to do, we'd certainly like to hear from you. And if you had anything that you wanted to share, I saw on the gallery that Priyanka in Kolkata is part of us. Are you still there, Priyanka? Nope. Yes, she is. Hello, she is there. And Priyanka stopped off in Singapore en route back home. She'd been in Seoul, and you were telling me about your taking the course at Emerson College, Priyanka?
That's right.
And this is an intensive, how long is the course? 3 months?
3.5 months, yeah, with a 15 days break.
Right, okay, over the kind of Easter period. And she was, can I say, is raving too strong? You were certainly very enthusiastic about the course.
Yeah, I still am.
Very good.
Accidentally, I'm right now in Emerson College.
Aha, wow, there you are. Okay, so this is, I think, something that it would be good to share, and Priyanka generously said that she'd be happy to do that, because finding courses which people can take, the advantage perhaps of Emerson is that it's a very short period of time. It's 3.5 months, so very intensive. But that may well suit some people rather than a course, a graduate course that might be spread over a longer period. So getting people to share their experience in whatever area it is as storytellers, I think this is something that Feast really wants to facilitate. And we're going to look at ways that we can enable that to happen. Yeah. So thank you very much. Usha, your picture's looking very solid and clear. So can we come over to you? I see you've been unmuted. So Usha, yes. Second time lucky.
Yeah, I'm Usha Chabra from Delhi, and I've been teaching the school for last 23 years, and have been incorporating storytelling. But now as a professional storyteller, I have entered 3 years back, and I'm really enjoying it. So today I'm going to tell a story. This is A Chair for Dum Dum, originally written in Hindi by me, Dum Dum Ki Kursi, and this has been published by Children Book Trust. So here goes my story, that there was one elephant, happy-go-lucky elephant, Dum Dum, and he always liked to wear good clothes like city people. And so he looks at city people and wears goggles and hat, and he's very stylish. So one day he looks at those people and say, okay, they are using chair, so I also want a chair. So he goes to the carpenter and says, I want a chair. Please make a chair for me. Carpenter starts laughing. Oh, what are you saying? It can't be possible. If you sit on the chair, you will fall because it's going to break. He said, no, no, please, please make a chair for me. He was a good friend of Dum Dum. So he said, okay, let me try. So he made a chair for him, a colorful one. And he could not wait longer. As soon as the chair was there, he hopped on it, and suddenly the chair broke.
We'll try and see next time if we have a little better luck. Is that okay, Usha? I'm sorry. So what I'd like to do, just as we wrap this up this evening, is just to remind you that the conference, our first conference, is on the 23rd of November. It's a very full day program, the full detailed website. I'm sure you found that feast-story.org. And then on the 24th, Margaret Reed MacDonald is running 2 workshops. The one which is really targeted for the Feast members is in the morning, looking at the idea of stories in translation, which we think, we hope will apply to a lot of us here where we have the opportunity to sell either bilingually or where we need to work with a interpreter, for example. And then on the Sunday, it's the 398.2 Storytelling Festival. And apart from giving you a chance to see lots of the very strong community of tellers that we have here in Singapore, we're also keeping aside 3 hour-long slots during the day. We'll be at the Central Library, a beautiful library here in Singapore. We have 4 spaces that basically run concurrently through the day from 10 o'clock, 10:30 till about 6 p.m. in the evening, catering to, there's 1 room for preschoolers, another for adults, and then 2 contrasting spaces where we offer stories for families. One which is a larger outdoor space, which needs much more kind of performance, theatrical style storytelling, and a beautiful space in the basement of the library where you can be much quieter and more intimate in the way that you tell your stories. What I've really enjoyed listening to all these stories is just the range and diversity of the accent and the quality of the voices, which I found really, really enjoyable to listen to. And I'm so grateful for everybody for taking their time out this evening or the morning, very early morning if you're in California, or very late at night indeed if you're in Australia. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to receiving your comments and suggestions. I have been looking at the chat comments. Thank you for the really positive feedback you've been giving everybody, and I hope those who've told have found that useful and that it wasn't too, you know, impersonal, strange, just talking into this lens here kind of thing, and not being able to get the feedback, the audience connection that we have when we tell stories, which is so important. So one thing we didn't practice, Sheila, was how we finished. So unless, do you want to take anybody off, unmute the mics? Anybody wants to shout out and say something before we leave?
So they're all unmuted.
Wow, very good. So if nobody is going to shout out, then I think let us call it a good night.
Well, I want to say thank you all. It's been wonderful. In Australia, we get a bit isolated as storytellers because of geographical distances. So I'm delighted that we can connect this way. So really happy to be on board with you all and look forward to the next one. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila and Roger. And I think, Roger, I'll see you in Penang next month, hopefully.
You will indeed, yes. Not long at all.
Yes. And it's a pleasure. It's a wonderful thing that you've started, Feast. And I'm happy to be part of it.
Well, it's you have to say a big thank you. Sheila's been working so hard, also with particularly with the website and getting to grips with this software, and Jiva too, giving us a huge support and helps getting the launch off to such a good start in Chennai. And we're really pleased that if you look at the list of people who were with us when we had those kind of the first founders meetings, we've got some very experienced people, and while their own schedules perhaps have not allowed them to be as active as they might have wished, I'm sure that having their input and their wisdom, they are our bird's nest tree, if you like, that we hope that we can move Feast forward in a way that will benefit a lot of people. So thank you very much indeed.
Yes.
And let's say
Thank you so much. Thank you, Roger.
Yes. Bye. Bye. See you, everyone.
See you.
Bye.
All you have to do is click leave meeting. Just click leave meeting.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lynn.
Bye. Sheila, we'll just stay on the line a moment.
Yes.
Roger, this is Priyanka here.
Hi, Priyanka.
Yeah, hi Priyanka.
Yeah, I would just like to share one thing because there were few other friends as well who were attending the meeting. Hi. Like the one who is right now here. I had few other friends with me, and they shared a feedback that we like this particular forum. They said this is very, very professional.
Oh, well, we appreciate that indeed.
We're very
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
doing this.
The way it has been put up, they said it is very professional. So yeah, I will say bye.
No,
Okay, goodbye.
Good to see you.
I'm surprised they're not saying what about student membership.
Yeah. Maybe. I'm sorry. I have a group of clowns right now with me, so like they're making me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Enjoy yourself, Priyanka.
Okay. I will see you in
November.
Bye.
Forward to it.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.